full stand. Choto iPad among stand. Yeah, no. iPad, phone ya moto to borrow. Among stand. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Today we're going to sing bhajan, and I'm invited my teacher, my music teacher, Diparanjan Mahashai. So he's here today. So he's going to. He's going to play tabla while I sing. So I was showing him that I'm showing him that I was saying modern system of technology, but it's the Bangla. I'm reading. You can't see. He was laughing. He was chuckling. I was showing him I'm singing from the Bangla using modern technology. So we'll sing this song Shadaran Gold Mohima. Shadaran Gold Mohima. Gaurangya Duti Pod is the first line. Gaurangya Duti Pod. So you can find it on your gadget and sing along. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahaganam Shri Jivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Srila Krishna Padam Sahaganam Lalita Shri Vishakam Vaishnava Kichu Bajao Kichu Bajao Mantra Guru Ajapta Shiva Guru Ganda Charanayagi Gaudiya Varna Vanchaka Pachuni Ushchaka Prashanta Vedachara Nikunam Vaishnava Namo Vishnu Parai Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Vidhane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunnamali Prasthya Desha Tarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakta Purna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Gaudangera Ute Pada Jadhan Shampadam Gaurangera Ute Padam Jadhan Shampadam Jane Bhagavati Rashisha Jane Bhagavati Rashisha Gaurangir Motalila Jadhan যেভাবে আপনি আমাকে শিখিয়েছেন সেজন্য আপনি ভজন আমার ভজনে এটা অতি সুন্দর হয় বুঝতে পারছেন আমি একদম perfect লাগে I'm saying how because he's my music teacher so and he taught me, he created me, so he can play the perfect, he can play the perfect, because he's like, it's like a master. So thank you for coming. Attention, Harinam, the Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari Gaura Hari Jaya Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari Jai Sachidananda, Jai Sachidananda, Jai Sachidananda, Gaura Hari, Jai Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari, Jai Nitai Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. It was so nice playing that bhajan with Dibranjan. Dibranjan, just come and show yourself to all of the Buddhists. Just come here. Arektu ache. Ekam shamne ekane. Ekane teken. Oy camera to okane. Ocho camera. ঠিক আছে। ঠিক আছে। আশীর্বাদ দিন বলে গো। আপনি অনেক ধন্যবাদ জানাই। Can you just harmonium tap me to so nice playing the bhajan with Diparanjan because I could he kept the time so perfectly. There's no way I could speed up. It was just like being in bhajan class. Dhanyavad. Ajme na? Hey Shamoy Patti Ravivare. Krishna. So today we're going to that coming up tomorrow is is Pujapad Srila Haridas Thakur Shubha Tirubhav Titi Mahotsav Chaturdas, Ananta Chaturdas is tomorrow. So this last week, I've been fortunate to I can be seen fine full screen and heard well.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
This week, I've been fortunate to been able to I actually had to prepare something for what's called GBC strategic planning. I was honored. They requested me to speak on Haridas Thakur's disappearance day. So I read the Bengali. I mean, I assume that's why they asked me, because well, anyway, I got the opportunity. So this week I've been absorbed in that. And then there's so many things. I made a presentation that's 56 minutes. It's going to be shown tomorrow evening. And I put it on my YouTube channel also, so I can send the YouTube link, and you can see, because on the YouTube channel I added a few things, a few pictures, a few visual effects. So I'll send you the link. But there was so much that we could say about Srila Haridas Thakur that today I thought I'd share a few things in more detail, which will actually just be leading into where the presentation that I presented, and which is going to be shown tomorrow evening with the GBC Strategic Planning Program, that presentation. This evening is just like a prelude to that, just like designed to be a prelude to that. A few things are repeated, but it's pretty much a prelude for you. So the environment that Haridas Thakur we'll discuss a little bit about earlier, but when he's first introduced in the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, as describing when he arrived, and then his glories, some of his glories are described, because these glories were like, we'll discuss briefly, his preaching. He was doing that even before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had appeared. And that's some of the instances that will be described this evening. So the materialistic people, they were simply criticizing the devotees and what is all the, chastising and insulting them. What is all the purpose of this howling? I am Brahman. And they beg from door to door and fill their bellies, and let us break down the doors and smash their houses. Shunya deki, bhaktagon shako shamshar. The devotees just saw the whole material world as devoid of anything meaningful. Ha Krishna Bolya Dukkha Bhaven Apar. And with great deep emotion, they prayed to Krishna, Ha Krishna, just this materialistic people. Henokale Totai Ailo Haridash. Henokale at that time. Totai Ailo at that place. Ailo Haridash. Haridas Thakur, he arrived in Navadip, and that was the circumstances. And he's described by Vrindavan Das Thakur as Shuddha Vishnu Bhakti Jar Vigraher Prakash. Vigraher Prakash, that he was personification of pure devotion to Lord Vishnu. Shuddha Vishnu Bhakti Jar Vigraha Prakash. His body, his appearance, his presence was just a presentation of pure devotion to Lord Vishnu. Shuddha Vishnu Bhakti Jar Vigraha Prakash. He was like a deity of pure devotion to Lord Vishnu. Eve Shano Haridas Thakur Kotar Jaha Shravane Krishna Paive Sharbota Eve Shuno. Listen, Haridas Thakur Kotar, to the descriptions of Srila Haridas Thakur. Jaha Shravane, those who hear them, Krishna Paive Sharbota, very quickly they will get the shelter of Lord Krishna. So Srila Haridas Thakur was born in East Bengal, Burhan village, and it's in the Joshore district. And Joshore is interesting because Joshore happens to be the place where Rupa and Sanatan Goswami appeared. So he appeared there in Joshua, and he left that place. And now it's very interesting what is described now about after Haridas Thakur's his behavior after he takes sannyas is described. Sorry, excuse me. After he Griha Tyag Goila, after he gave up, after he left home, Griha Tyag Goila. This is described in the Antya Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 11, no, chapter 3. Yeah, Glories of Haridas Thakur. His passing is chapter 11, this is chapter 3. And this is where he is describes, he delivers the prostitute. Haridas Jabe, Nije Grihe Tyag Goilo, Benapole, Bon Modde, Koto Din Rohilo. So he left his home. This is text 99 of chapter 3. Benapole, Bon Modde, Koto Din Rohilo. He went into the forest and stayed. He stayed there in the forest of Benapole for some time. First, after leaving his home. Niljon Bone, Kuti Rikori, Tula Shishebon, Ratri Dine, Din Lokat Nam Shankirtan, Nirjan Bone, alone in the forest. Kuti Rikore, he constructed a cottage, Tulashi Shebon, and he planted a Tulasi plant, and in front of the Tulasi, he would Ratri Din tin lock all day and night, tin lock, 300,000 Nam Shankirtan. That's such a beautiful verse. Nirjan Bone Kutir Kodi Tulashi Shebon Ratri Din Tin Lock Nam Shankirtan. It's such a beautiful verse describing Nirjan Bone alone in the forest. Kutir Kodi building a little cottage. Tulashi Shebon, he worshipped Tulasi Maharani. Ratri Din Tin Lock Nam Shankirtan. I mean, is that not the perfection of life? To live in a cottage in a forest and worship Tulasi and chant 300,000 names a day. I mean, if you could just do that, I mean, it's possible you could do that if you're focused on it and put your mind on to it. But could you do that? Would you have the qualification? Would your mind be just so surrendered? I mean, it's not to do that just in a forest alone. Worship Tulasi without your mobile, without people coming. But people came, but that's it. He just had a cottage and he was worshipping Tulasi. And there, so many people were appreciating him. And so the Ramchandra Khan, he was envious of Haridas Thakur. So he sent a prostitute, and that story is described in the chapter 3 of Antilila Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that Ramchandra Khan, he offended a pure devotee, Srila Haridas Thakur, and Nityananda Prabhu cursed him. But in this way, he was, so at this stage, yeah, he still hadn't met Srila Haridas Thakur, Advaita Acharya. He hadn't met him yet, not described. These are all activities, delivering the prostitute, that happened before he came to this part of Bengal. And Shantipur and met Advaita Thakur. Even before that, it describes that he would be wandering on the banks of the Ganga near Pulia. And people would crowd around him to see the unrestricted tears of love of God that flowed profusely from his eyes, drenching his entire body. Sometimes he was laughing, fainting, perspiring. So, in love of God, chanting the holy name. That's it. In the forest there, they just come and watch you. So the local Mughal justice he brought Haridas Thakur before the Nawab. The Mughals were ruling Bengal. Local justice and the Nawab of Bengal. We assume that's the same famous Nawab of Bengal that subsequently, maybe it's 10, maybe it may not be, maybe his father, but could be the same. And they punish him because he's apparently converted to a Muslim who converted to Hinduism. So they punished him, and he wouldn't die. He was beaten in 22 marketplaces. And then ultimately the guards said, you know, if we go back and you're not dead, we're going to be killed. And Haridas Thakur said, oh, my being alive will cause harm to you. So then just see me die. And then he just apparently left his body there through his body became so heavy they couldn't even move it because he was in deep samadhi on the lotus feet of the Lord. So they couldn't even pick up his body. But then eventually they became light enough, they threw him in the Ganga. He's floating away. After some time, he came to consciousness and swam out of the Ganga. And then they were astonished. He went back before the Nawab, and they were astonished that, you know, that they paid their respects to him. So if that may have been the same Nawab or another. And then he was traveling in various places in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and in Chaitanya Bhagavad. His preaching activities are described in various places. Very wonderful. And he's later Mahaprabhu, he's referred to by Krishna as Kaviraj Goswami, as a learned Pandit. This interactions are there between Haridas Thakur and the smart Brahmins, etc. Then it mentions that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Adi Lila, chapter 13, is that chapter is describing the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Adi 13. Mentions there that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in Mayapur at that time, Sri Advaita Acharya was dancing in a pleasing mood, taking Haridas Thakur with him. He danced and loudly chanted Hare Krishna. So at the time of Mahaprabhu's appearance, you know, sometime before that, Haridas Thakur had taken association of Srila Advaita Acharya and become his associate. And also disciple. If you see in Shantipur, you'll see there's a small temple there, a little temple that says this is the place where Srila Advaita Acharya initiated Srila Haridas Thakur. So, however, we heard that before he came to Shantipur, already he was called Haridas, and already he was chanting 3 lakhs a day. So that initiation wasn't like getting that name and getting the order to do that, whatever. Yeah, we may have given him whatever, I don't know. But it mentions there the initiation, the Vaishnava mantra. When he wasn't wearing a Brahmin thread, you'll see. You know, he's the Namacharya, and we'll hear his description. And then, so he was also, when Mahaprabhu was growing up and doing Vidya Leela, at that time Haridas Thakur was associating Advaita Acharya and the devotees in Navadip, but he's not described that his interaction with Nimai. We won't hear that. It's only after Nimai becomes a devotee, coming back from Gaya, and then they're picking flowers, Ramai, Srivas Thakur Jangava, that Rama Ashamba, Adbhut Kodar, Ki Adbhut Kodar, Parama Ashamba, Nimai Pandit, Oilo, Parama Vaishnava. And all the devotees are picking flowers in the house of Srivas Thakur. They get the news that Nimai is picking the devotees. So, and then from then on, you'll see that Haridas Thakur is mentioned amongst the lists of devotees who are associating and like picking flowers. And then there's so many wonderful leelas that after performing Sankirtan in the house of Srivas Thakur for 1 year, Mahaprabhu one day he ordered Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to begin the the broad scale Nam Sankirtan movement. Shuno Shuno Nityananda Shuno Haridash. Sabatra Amara Gai Koroho Prakash. Shuno Shuno Nityananda Shuno Haridash. Sabatra everywhere. Amara Gai Koroho Prakash. You teach people about me. You spread my teachings. Sabatra Koroho. Amara Gai Koroho Prakash. You spread my teachings everywhere. Prati Gore Gore Gi Koro Ebik Bhaja Krishna Bhara Krishna Koro Krishna Shikha. You go to every house. And Bola Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Bora Krishna, Koro Krishna Shikha. You preach these three things to the people. So they become devotees. So they were the first preachers. Haridash Thakur and Nityananda were the first preachers. And then there's so many Nityananda and Haridash Thakur together. They deliver Nityananda Prabhu and Haridash Thakur. They preach to Jagai Madhai in that leader. And so many Prabhu Sankirtan leaders, Haridash Thakur is described there. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, and then he leaves Navadip and goes to Jagannath Puri. And then he goes traveling for 2 years. Then he returns to Navadip, and then they send Kala Krishna Das. We were discussing this last week. They send Kala Krishna Das at Mahaprabhu's arrival from South India. So a little bit more we're stitching onto that this evening. So they sent Kala Krishna Das to West Bengal because I needed someone to inform the devotees that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived back from South India. Because I knew that hearing that, certainly the devotees would come. And so they sent Kala Krishna Das, and then they are coming, and then Mahaprabhu was in Alalanat, and then they're told him the devotees from Gaudiya Desha are arriving. And so he comes back. Now we're just at that point. We're going to carry on from that point next week, the slides again. But tonight I'm going to explain that what happened to conclude this evening, another 10 minutes or so, if you can ask questions. That what happens, Haridas Thakur arrived, because he's amongst that group of devotees. But next week we won't describe this in detail, but because this particular incident, but because tomorrow's Haridas Thakur, he's the topic. So Mahaprabhu particularly discusses him when all the devotees are arriving. And this is chapter 11 of Madhya Lila, text 161. Chapter 11, Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, text 161. Shabare Shamani Prabhu Hoilo Ullash Haridash na dekhiya koha Haridash. So with great respect, Mahaprabhu, he respected each and every devotee. Shavaya, Shamaniya, he respected them. He was very, very joyful about that, jubilant. Haridash na dekhiya kohe kaha Haridash. Where is kaha Haridash? Where is Haridash? Kaha Haridash. Dure hoite Haridash Goshai dekhiya Raja pote prante pori ache dondobat hoya. So dure hoite, at a distance, Haridash Goshai dekhiya, they see Haridash Thakur. Rajpat Prante means on the side of the main road. Pori ache dondavat hoya, he's lying down offering his obeisances. Rajpat Prante Pori ache dondavat hoya. He's down there lying on the ground. You know, it's been a few minutes already. Mahaprabhu is, the devotees are there, and Haridas Thakur is just lying on the ground. Milanshtane ashe prabode namilila Rajpate prante tude podia rohila, and he's not moving. Milanstan na ashi prabhu namili, he hasn't come to the place where Mahaprabhu is meeting with all the devotees. Rajpat prante, on the side of the main road. Dude podia, he's fallen down on the remain there. Rajpat prante Dure, at a distance, Podia Rohila, he's remaining lying down, fallen down on the side of the main road at a distance. And then Haridas Thakur speaks. Haridas Kohe, he speaks. Mui ni cho jati char. Mui ni cho jati. I am a low birth. Char. Mandir nikate. Jaite more nahi odikar. Mandir nikate, to go close to the temple. Jaite more nahi adhikar. Jaite to Mandir nikate jaite, to go close to the temple. More nahi adhikar. I have no qualification. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada is commenting that although he was such a highly exalted Vaishnava, that they addressed him as Goshai, but he didn't like to disturb the common sense of the general populace. He's so exalted that he suggests as Thakur and Goshai, which are offered to the most advanced Vaishnavas, Guru, Paramahansa. And even though he was called by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he didn't want to go near the temple because it's a long-standing regulation. But he didn't even want to go near the temple. He didn't feel competent to enter the temple. Prabhupada says this is called Vaishnava humility. So, what is the quality there of Srila Haridas Thakur? It's not that we theoretically we understand what is humility. Mahaprabhu describes Trinar api shunichena, lower than the grass in the street. Tarod api sheshana, more tolerant than a tree. Amanina mandana, devoid of all sense of prostation, not ready to offer respect to others. That's humility. That's not. We know what it is theoretically, but we don't actually consider ourselves, the lowest. Like Haridas Thakur is considering, even though he's chanting 300,000 names a day, that's 190 lakhs or 190 rounds or something, and he worshipping Tulasi. I mean, he's such a pure and such exalted leelas. This leela of him coming back to death after being beaten in 22 marketplaces, wherever he went, there was people around him. He was a famous preacher. He was Haridas Thakur. He's a famous preacher. Even now in Bengal, so many dramas on Brahma Haridas, because he was beyond. He was not even in. He was in the lecture beyond the lecture. Bonim lecture, Jabon. Those are outside Vedic, not even Sudra. A different thing. So, but he became the Thakur of Namacharya. He became such an exalted Vaishnava. Everyone fell at his feet, and so many miracles he performed. What a preacher! Why? Shuno Nityananda Shuno Haridas. Because why? They happened to be two guys there? No, because they were especially effulgent and charismatic preachers. Nityananda Prabhu, the other dude. Nityananda Prabhu is preaching. They're just constantly flowing tears of love of Godhead flowing from his eyes as he's dancing and spreading the glories of the name. What a preacher, Nityananda Prabhu. And Haridas Thakur, because he's just, people would gather, even before Mahaprabhu appeared, people would gather around him in crowds just at awe at his tears of love of Godhead. You think that subsequently that he stopped doing that? No, he's Haridas Thakur. He's constantly absorbed in love of God. And but he cruises into Jagannath Puri and he doesn't say, hey, come on, I'm a completely liberated Mukta Purush. The whole of Bengal knows it. He could have. Isn't that fascinating? Haridas, Rupa and Sanatan, Tinjon, Jaiten, it describes, I've forgotten the names. It's three. They didn't go into. Rupa, Sanatan, Goswami, and Haridas Thakur, they never entered the Jagannath Mandir, those three. For the same reason, even though because this is a quality of Vaishnava, they're not inclined to accept any prestige. They don't consider themselves qualified. So they didn't expect that, everyone's going to change all the rules for me. Long-standing regulation. And it disturbed the common sense of the general people. So that's something that he valued, obviously. Haridas Thakur valued that. And so For that reason, he never made any pushing. He didn't even go close, I mean, not that he go and knock on the door and stand there and say, anytime, maybe sometime your rules will change. I mean, it was like he didn't even go close to the temple. That's what's being described here. Mundi Nikate Joy Mohi Adika. I have no qualification to go near the temple. Yeah. And he says, Nibrite. Well, I'll read the next verse and come back to it. He says that Jagannath Shevaker Mosh Porsha Nahi Ho. Jagannath Shevaker Mosh Porsha Nahi Ho. Because if I go to the temple, Jagannath Shevaker Mosh Porsha, they will touch me. They may touch me. Nahi Ho. So in order that doesn't happen, Tahan Parirohon more a yes. I'll read it like this. This is pretty amazing. I jumped ahead, I spoiled the poetry. So first he says this, he says, I have no qualification to go near the temple. You just nibrite, tota modhe, stan jodi pai, taha, pori rohe, ekale, kal gonai. Just nibrite, Tota modde. Nibrite tota modde. Tota is a garden. Tota. Nibrite tota modde. Stan jodi pai. In the gardens, in a quiet, secluded place, solitary place. Nibrite tota modde. Stan jodi pai. A little place in the garden somewhere. Taha pori roha ekale kal, and I'll just stay there alone. And he says, why? We're thinking, oh wow, it's pretty specific, but why does he want to go and stay that? Because Jagannath Sevakan Moshpasha no hihoi. So that I never, I'm close to Mahaprabhu, but I'm never that close that there may be a possibility that the servants of Lord Jagannath, the priests in the temple, Jagannath Sevakan Moshpasha no hihoi. That I will ensure that they never touch me. That is, and so that, that's not something he's just making you show, hey, how yamal am I can say this. No, he thinks that. Therefore, he's not going, it's like a border he never crosses because he's not qualified. Temple of Lord Jagannath. Why? Why? The reason why he's given, it's not because, well, I'm making a statement for the low-class people. It's nothing like that. But it is actually that he's showing the Vaishnava, even from the person it's beyond, chanting the holy name is beyond all of these considerations, even though they exist, even though they have to be followed and respected. Chanting Hare Krishna mantra they don't have to be followed and respected, but sometimes they can't be avoided. Such rules, but the Hare Krishna mantra, the principle is that anyone can chant, even a person who's not allowed in the temple, even the person who's not, but practically, legally, yes, but in reality, of course, he's qualified, but he has this is his further qualification, that the reason why he doesn't want to come close is not for any of these things, it's because the possibility that Jagannath Shebaka and Moshpashana, the servants of Lord Jagannath would touch me, that would be such an offense to Lord Jagannath. Of course, he's there in Rath Yatra, of course, because that's all of us fallen souls. We serve Lord Jagannath in Rath Yatra in Puri. But we're not also not allowed to enter the temple. Jagannath, so I stay there at that place alone. And from that time on, Srila Haridas Thakur stayed there. That's the Siddha Baku, where he stayed, that place. So such a special place. When you go to Jagannath Puri next time, you can remember how Siddha Baku, how Haridas Thakur took up residence there for this as he arrived, and then he went and started residing there. And then every day, Mahaprabhu, after seeing Lord Jagannath, would go into Siddha Baku and talk with Haridas Thakur and give him Mahaprasadam of Lord Jagannath. So next week, tomorrow, if you listen to that broadcast there on the SPT, program, but I'll I'll give the link to Nod. You'll hear that after Mahaprabhu, after Haridas Thakur had spent the rest of his life there, then the Leela, which you'll hear tomorrow, of him giving up his disappearance day. And so he comes one day and he's lying there, and the discussion that Govinda comes and he sees Haridas Thakur lying on his back, chanting slowly. That's the first time they've seen this. Otherwise, Mahaprabhu came to this place every day, associated with Haridas Thakur. Kota log giye Prabhu kohilo. When they gave the news about Haridas Thakur arriving and having this state, behaving in this way, Kota log giye Prabhu kohila. People spoke about this to the Lord. Shunya Prabhu mone boro shuk hoilo. He liked it very much. Shunya Prabhu mon. He was very happy to hear it. Because of this quality, and that just so naturally, Srila Haridas Thakur is showing this. He's showing this principle that the most anyone without any those with no qualification in terms of punya, in terms of society, in terms of spiritual practice, whatever. This all is irrelevant in the taking the holy name of the Lord. One's previous activities. Dinahino jotto chilo hariname udharelo. Dinahino jotto chilo, however much you can possibly imagine, like Jagannatha. Dashaki Jagannatha. Hariname udo. And we sang that song just to begin this evening, that Sri Jai Gauranga Nama Lo Tara Hoi Premu Doi Tare Mui Jai Gauranga. Jai Gauranga Nama Lo Tara Hoi Premu Doi. Haridas Thakur is such an example of this. Is there any questions? I'll read the translation. That's all. So, Sri Gauranga Duty Board. See. Gauranga Duty Board, the two lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jardhana Shampa, those who that is their wealth and assets and real value of their life. Shejane Bhakati Roshasha. They Bhakati Roshasha, the cream, the essence. They understand the essence of devotional service. Prabhupada comments on that appreciating the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the conclusion of devotional practice. Gauranga Modu Lila, the sweet pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jargone Probeshila, those whose ears they enter into. Redoy Ninamal Bhalotar, the heart becomes purified. Jai Gauranga Nama Loy, those who take the name Gauranga. Tara Hoi Prema Udoy. Their Hoi, it happens Prema Udoy. Udoy means arousal. Udoy, arousal. Prema, of love of God. Chara Gauranga Namaloy, those who take the name Gauranga, Torohoi Premu Doi. There's awakening of love for Krishna, arousal of love for Krishna, praying Krishna, praying. Tare Mui Joy Boli Hari, to those, bravo, prophets, Joy Boli Hari, Tare. To those Mui, I say, bravo, Joy Boli Hari. Gauranga Gunete Jure, those who cry, Jure, on the qualities, understanding the qualities of Gauranga. Sometimes we sing that Poshupaki Jure, Pashanabidore, Poshupaki Jure. The birds and the beasts cry. Pashanabidore, the stone melts. So Gauranga Gunete Jure, those who cry. Nitolila Tadesh Jure, they can see the eternal pastimes of the Lord. Shejon Bhakti Adhikari. Gauranga Shangi Gone, Nitta Shita Korimane. If I respect the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as considering them to be eternal associates of Krishna. Jai Brajabhumi, Shejai Brajabhumi, Shejai, was it Braja? Brajendra, Brajendra. Shejai Brajendra Shutapash, Brajendra Shutapash. Nitashita Korimane Shaija, anyone who considers the eternal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna's eternal associates. Shaijai Brajendra Shutapas, okay? Brajendra Shutapas, they will go beside Brajendra Shutapas. Sri Gauramandal Bhumi, the earth of Sri Gauramandal, Jai Jani Chintamani, those who understand that it's transcendental. Tahoi Brajabhumi Bash, they attain Vrindavan. Gauda Prema Rosh Anarbe. Gauda Prema Rosh Anarbe, the ocean of flavors of Gauda Prema. Shai Torange Jebadube. Shai Torange, the waves of that ocean. Shai Torange Jebadube, those who dive into them. Shai Radha Madhavantaram. They are very intimately connected with Radha Madhav. Shai Radha Madhavantaram. Those who dive into the waves of Gauda Prema, in the waves of the ocean of the Rasha Narva, the ocean of mellows of Gauda Prema, Rasha Narve, Onarve, Rasha Narve, it's an ocean of mellows, Gauda Prema, Rasha Narve, the ocean of mellows. Where is that? Isn't this the Shashti, this Gauda Lila, Gauda Pota, Chaitanya Bhagavad, Chaitanya Charita, it's an ocean. It's Gauda Prema Rasha Narve, it's an ocean of love of Gauda. Shaitorangi Jebadube, those who dive into that. Shai Radha Madhavantaram. They're very intimately connected to Radha Madhav. Grihe Babonete Take, Ha Gauranga Boletake. Grihe Babonete Take, stay at home. Grihe Babonete Take, but stay, go to the forest. Ha Gauranga Boletake. Call out the name of Gauranga. Narottama Mage Tarashanga. Narottam Mahashaya, he desires to associate with that Grihasta who stays at home, or the Tyagi who lives in the forest to constantly chants the name of Gauranga. So next week we'll carry on with the devotees arriving from Bengal in Puri and that description next week. Hare Krishna.